And building a community is so important. And then I know that you've mentioned in many of your interviews that it is something that you had in place when you kind of started embarking on this journey. And so how did you guys do that? Did you leverage the power of social media? Did you have friends, family? What was it specifically?
You know, I do think social media was such a key factor in having in a very quick community that really was just instantly on the rise. And I think that's because social media was so new in the way that we think of it today. You know, we like secured a Twitter handle before going to Coachella. I'm so glad we did that because, you know, things essentially went viral after the festival. And by the time we got back to LA, we had about 10,000 followers in that one day, which seemed like a really big deal. But it was because we embraced a new platform, not just because we were on social media and that's all it takes. So I think that's speaking to being pioneering, you know, saying we're going to use something like Twitter and it makes sense for what we're doing because it creates urgency. You have to follow us to know where the truck is. You have to follow us to know what the menu is that day, maybe to get a special deal. So like that was, I think, definitely important. I mean, I think on a certain element, like what I love about running a business is like, it does make you realize, you know, how big your community can be. And I think for me as the CEO and as a founder, you know, my own network is something that's really special to me. All the other entrepreneurs I've met, all the other brands we've worked with, my own team. A business like ice cream is something that you always want to talk about and always want to share. So that community does end up, you know, really coming out for it. And, you know, lastly, I'll say, I'm from LA. So doing business in the city that you're from, people will just come out of the woodwork, like someone that you played like soccer with in childhood, like turns out they've been following, you know, your journey and they connect you to someone who wants to book the truck, or it's so, just like inspiring and fun to see the ways that it can, you know, like that community can continue to reward you in your business.
That's awesome. I want to touch on, the fact that you're woman owned or that you're woman owned. So I also heard that, or I saw in an interview that you actually went through a certification process.
Yeah.
So does that mean there's a certification process to actually spell out we are women owned?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yes.
Wow.
They got it there. Some of it's paperwork, you know, to get them the details of the business or operating agreement. And then they want to meet you, you know, create the relationship with you, connect you with the community. And then they actually do an audit. They come to the office and, you know, make sure you are who you say you are. I was like, oh, you're going to follow me to the bathroom? Like, you know, what's going on here? But yeah, I think it's good because it's, you know, it's legitimate. And putting that seal that women owned, which we've actually now changed to women founded and led. We got through some focus groups we did, feedback that was actually the specific part of being women owned that people were more, it resonated with them more, which is that it started this way and then this is who's, you know, actually running the business. But once we really started putting that front and center, the kind of traction that it's given us is just absolutely, it's bananas. You know, the way that people, that it resonates with people on social, how much more they're calling it out. We always had the story on the back of the packaging, but it shows you, has to be really simple for a consumer to understand. And, you know, in 1 second they have to get, okay, these are the people behind the brand. This is something I want to support.
So do you think that most of your consumers and biggest fans are women?
Most of our consumers are women. You know, biggest fan, I don't know, we could have, you know, a mega fan, you know, man out there. And it's hard to know on the individual scale who is the biggest, but there are more overall women fans, I would say, and consumers, but it's not like 95 to 5%. Like, I think what's great about Coolhaus is it's a brand for everybody. You know, we're making the connection with women, but we're making the connection with men who believe in women-owned businesses, or, you know, they may want to participate in it because they know their daughter or their kid is excited about the next generation of brands and that they can also be, you know, empowered women running their business. And it's not a feminine brand. So I think that's actually been a positive point because we're very, very inclusive. And additionally, when we've gone out to raise money, I think, you know, because just unfortunately the way it is right now, most investors most of the people writing checks are men, it's easier for them to, I think, then relate to, okay, here's a women-owned business and there's a huge amount of women following, but I as a man understand also, like, I want to have the delicious ice cream too. Versus, I have some friends who their businesses are very much brands for women, and sometimes there are challenges right now with raising money for that because the men, on the other side of the table can just not understand the, like, at the core, what the product is really about.